Hi folks, and thanks for checking out another video here on Tim's Tech Corner. Today we are taking a look at the rather unique LG G-Slate. This is a tablet that is capable of displaying and recording in 3D. Apparently the 3D is limited to about 30 minutes, but it can also display in 3D. And when we get back up and running, I can actually show you a game that's capable of displaying in stereoscopic, and it actually plays pretty nicely on this tablet. Not featured are the glasses that came with the tablet. They're in the other room. Don't have them handy. We'll jump into the rooting process. You'll want to look at the description for some downloads. You're going to want to go ahead and get a USB cable, sort of like this, and it should have that kind of edge on it. Also get Blackbeard for good luck. Now, the LG G-Slate is a odd form factor. It's not 10-inch, it's not 7. If I remember correctly, it is a 9. And let's go through a little bit of a walkthrough on the device. On this side over here, you have one speaker. And on this side over here, you actually have two. Now, what happens is when you have it in this orientation, it goes left speaker, right speaker. If you were to take the tablet and rotate it this way, there's a software service called Speaker Switcher that takes the two speakers over here and makes them active so that you would have left and right instead of up and down. So that's kind of cool that they did that, and it shows that they're trying hard to give you the proper audio experience. Now, if you see here, we've got it waiting in Fastboot protocol. That is how we would get into doing the flashing and rooting on this. Now, over here on my flash machine, we've got Windows 8 32-bit, and it does recognize the device. As you can see here, I've done a Fastboot devices. I've got numbers. That means it recognizes it. So, to start off, what you need to do is Fastboot OEM unlock. And you'll see that it says that it's finished. So that has gone ahead and sent the command over to go ahead and unlock the bootloader. From there, you would be able to flash the clockwork recovery, and you go ahead and do that by sending another Fastboot command of Fastboot boot, and then you want to put in the name of your recovery. So if you have recovery.img, cwm.img, whatever is the name of your recovery, you're going to want to send that command. It will go ahead and install recovery on the tablet. From there, you'll want to go ahead and take a look at your Fastboot commands, and you can go ahead and tell it to Fastboot, Reboot, Bootloader. And that will usually go ahead and get you over to the recovery that you've installed, and then from there you can use recovery to flash the super user root zip. Now, there are some upgraded ROMs for this device. You can also do ADB reboot recovery and you'll get there, or hit the reset switch and just tell it to go into recovery mode. Now, for this device, there are some upgraded ROMs. There are CM10 Jelly Bean related ROMs. I am not running a Jelly Bean ROM on this device because of the fact that I would lose the camera. Now, you run into this when it comes to unique devices and devices that are, out of life, and the manufacturer is no longer supporting it. Because of that, the source doesn't get released, usually for the camera and the microphone. You've run into that with the HP touchpad. It took the HP touchpad developers a long time to get you a working camera and working microphone on Android. The microphone went first, and then camera followed, and now, with the exception of 4.2.2, you can actually get a working camera and microphone on that. On this, however, if you want to use the camera on it, you've got to stay down at Honeycomb. Archaic operating system at this point, considering everything is Jelly Bean. You can take this up to Jelly Bean, but then you won't be able to use the camera. For me, I've got Jelly Bean devices. I've got ice cream sandwich devices. Why would I want to take this unique thing and lose the recording and the view? Well, you'd probably still be able to view in 3D, but you'd lose the cameras, and that's what makes this device unique. So, I'm going to go ahead and try to issue a reboot command here. So, and it's rebooting. This should come up for the little dinkle dinkle for T-Mobile. So yeah, the kernels. I had a hell of a time with this thing. I had finally gotten it rooted, and it took a while. And the reason why it took a while is because you actually need the LG mobile drivers in order for your computer to recognize this device when it's hooked up. And that's what took so long to get this thing rooted. I got it connected, ADB devices would never find it, and I thought it was maybe the cable, I thought it was the USB port. It just turned out that I needed the LG drivers. Once I got that, the rest was history. And I was able to root the device. So it's a shame it's stuck down at Honeycomb, but I really don't want to bring it up to ICS or Jelly Bean and lose the cameras. Now the cameras for this device and the recording of 3D, as I said, I think it only can record about a half hour. And it's fairly good. It's okay, the recording of it. Where I've discovered that it's really, really good is if you have a couple things that create some nice depth in what you're recording. Two things that I recorded. One was a walkthrough of my parents' house at Christmas, because my mother likes to go all out, decorate pretty well. And the other thing that I recorded was about 2 minutes in the parking lot of a shopping center. When I was doing the shopping center recording, and I was recording over the roof of my car, there was a little bit of depth, but it wasn't until a car went by in the main thoroughfare like this that you really got a good sense of the 3D. Conversely, when I was doing the tour of my parents' house a little bit, there was a part where I was looking out a small window in the living room. And so you had the window and a piece of stained glass hanging in front of it. And then you had maybe about 10 feet of ground outside and then bushes. That layering of having stained glass up front and then having the bushes way back here, that created a really nice 3D effect, and you really got a sense of depth. Now, there is a game that I discovered. I don't know how I stumbled upon this, but it's called Dark Incursion, and it'll pop up over here. This game is actually capable of displaying in red-blue 3D, and it plays pretty well on this tablet. So go to the touchscreen over here and options. So 3D is off at the moment, but you can turn 3D on, and you can see the shift in colors a little bit, how it got like a little blurry. And here you can see it's pretty solid, and it gets blurry. If you're using glasses, this game is actually pretty cool in 3D over here. So here's a look at the settings on it. We'll walk you through baseband and everything about tablet. Model number LG G-slate-V909, Android 3.1, baseband V10P, which is the latest for this device, and a 2.636 kernel, and it's the Google Optimus Pad kernels. So I was not able to run any of the community created honeycomb kernels on it. It would just boot loop and say, you are using an incorrect kernel, and it would just stick there, and you'd have to hit the reset button, and no matter what kernel I used, it failed. So I got very, very lucky and found the original boot image, and I flashed it, and I was able to come back and get it working. So I got very lucky because I was pretty disappointed at first. I was like, wow, after all this time I just rooted the device and now I bricked it. But I managed to unbrick it. So you can see here my Windows 8 machine does know the device is hooked up because device storage. There's the internal SD card. This is a non-expandable tablet. You cannot add an SD card to it, so it has this emulated. And there's the proof that this computer knows what it's dealing with. And there's LG root. This is what you flash in Clockwork. This is what gives you the root here. So basically you used Fastboot to push Clockwork recovery onto the tablet, and then you use Clockwork to install the root, which gives you Super User. So coming back down here, we go back over to apps. There it is. Here's Super User. Right there. So that's the proof that it is rooted, but unfortunately it's stuck down here at Honeycomb. One thing before we go, I'll show you an alternative home launcher that I have on here. It's called Next. It is by the people who do Go Launcher. Next is their Next launcher, haha. And oh my god, lots of Asian. It's doing a license check. That blows. Yeah, unfortunately, it's got a license check going on. I'll have to see if Lucky Patcher can fix it. But Next is extraordinarily expensive. Oh wait, maybe not. Change the wallpaper, actually. Let's maybe able to scoot by over here. Oh, no, back to the standard launcher. Okay. Yeah, the Next launcher is pretty cool. It's fairly involved. Surprisingly, it does not support rotation. There's actually there's the Next launcher, Honeycomb. And I'm going to go back to Super Bokeh. And now we've got it back to normal. So there you go. There's the LG G-Slate, a 3D tablet running Honeycomb, and it is rooted, and there's some of the steps on the root. So basically, to sum it up, you want to get the LG G-Slate mobile drivers so that your computer does know what it's talking to. You'll know that it's talking to it if you go to ADB space devices and you get a result. From there, you can go ahead and power it down and then power it into Fastboot by holding power and volume up. Then you're going to want to issue the Fastboot commands. You do Fastboot OEM unlock, and then Fastboot and the command to flash your Clockwork mod recovery image. Make sure you get the one for Honeycomb, and I'll have links up in the description. From there, tell the tablet to boot into Clockwork mod, and then flash the root zip. Once the root zip is flashed, you can go ahead and boot the tablet up, and you will have a Honeycomb rooted tablet. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say don't take it up to Jelly Bean or don't take it up to Ice Cream Sandwich. You can. It's up to you, but for me, I would be losing the uniqueness of the tablet, and that is the 3D cameras. If it was a perfect world and this could be Jelly Bean and have access to the cameras, that would be really nice. So there's Super User proving that it has root. Unfortunately, I have never run a benchmark on this, so I don't really know the scores. It's probably not going to be that good. And if you see here the standard kernel, Unfortunately, I've brought up the minimum clock, but I can't get it over 1000 megahertz for the overclocking because it's the standard kernel. You might have some luck flashing the honeycomb kernels. If you do, feel free to leave a note down in the comments and discuss it. I wasn't able to. And if you've ever bricked one of these by trying to do a kernel, I do have a thread up on Roots Wiki, because this is not a big device on XDA, that will explain how you can go ahead and unbrick it and get it back to honeycomb and have a working device again. So, that's all we've got today for this, and I'm not really too sure if I've got anything planned. Pretty much I don't think I've got anything in the works right now. This is one of the last devices that I needed to root and get up and running. The Toshiba Excite, unfortunately there's no root for it because Toshiba's being a dick. I might have a Lenovo IdeaPad coming up, but that's probably going to be after I sell my old G-Tab by ViewSonic. So, take care everybody and have a good one.